I think, yeah, we're good. Oh, do we want it to be I'm Matthew, I'm Marty, I'm Josh, and then we're here as three, or should we introduce Josh later?
Oh, right away. Josh is a part of our family.
Oh.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Oh, leave that in the edit. Let all the listeners know.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Marty.
I'm Carlos.
And I'm Josh.
And we are the Heroes 3 plus Josh. Welcome to Heroes 3, the bi-weekly podcast where three friends explore the best, worst, and everything in between in the world of Asian cinema. And this week we are really happy to be joined once again by Swim Fans co-host, I messed up your name, Josh McKenzie.
Hi. Thanks for having me back.
Animator and cool guy liker Josh McKenzie to have on this episode talking about Riding Bean, a OVA from 1989. Which is a trip, and I'm very excited to talk about it.
Ooh, yeah. So this is what I am using to set us up for what we're going to be doing this summer. And I'm going to go ahead and say it right here. So we're going to be actually talking about, I guess, Hollywood-style blockbuster films, but from Asian cinema. So with Riding Bean, this is very influenced by Western cinema and action movies, and I thought it would be perfect to drop right at the beginning of this, and it's gonna be a really good time. I have a long history with this. This is probably one of those early VHS tape anime kind of situations. I think it's one of maybe the earliest, like alongside Akira and stuff, when everything was starting to come out in the West. Anime Go released like VHS tape of it. I think it was like Maddox 01, and like this might have been their first.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, their first anime
it's like
releases.
Conservative Midwestern parents' fears like materialized into like the perfect movie. And then you can also say, and it was shot on location in your backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is from the mind of Kenichi Sonoda, and I think if people recognize that name, it would probably be more from Gunsmith Cats, but that is directly related to this as well. And we'll talk about that as we get into this. But I don't know about you guys. Like I said, I have seen this a bunch of times. This is like a not, for regular TV anime style situation. We got violence, we've got nudity, we've got questionable material. And have you guys been familiar with Riding Bean?
I was only familiar with it because way back when we started the podcast, just among the many random recommendations that Carlos gave me for cool vintage kind of anime, was this was among them, along with like Memories and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Previous episode Memories. So I saw it back then, but I hadn't rewatched it since then, and it was really cool to revisit. And yeah, it's some stuff in it that I was like, oh man, my mind blocked that part out.
Dude, no, this killed me. I'd heard of the title probably from you over the years, Carlos. But yeah, I was just knocked out by this. Full confession, and I mentioned it before, but like have a very maybe touchy kind of relationship with a lot of anime. Like maybe it felt like when I dip my toe in, and brain gets too fried, and like I don't understand like the observation perspective or whatever. But it's like, I don't know, this was just such a confident like adrenaline shot, and kind of shows like, I don't know, if you're carefree and perverted enough, and if your chin won't quit, it's, I don't know. I thought this was just like such a propulsive plot and tempo and everything. I don't know, this is stunning animation, that kind of color and paint work that is extinct, and just beautifully composed, and one of these things that just makes you love 4x3 like composition. And I don't know, this is This was awesome.
Cool.
I did make the mistake of dipping into the dub a couple times, and I'm still acquiring that whole taste. But
How did it go? Did you get the money okay?
Mm-hmm. But I've had it with these trigger-happy airheads and their pint-sized partners.
yeah, wild. And I don't know. Has anyone ever like in Japan flirted with like adapting this for like shooting like a live action?
Oh
film?
no!
Like it
no.
feels like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. It really works.
I think it would have an amazing mix of realism and surreal. When you see Bean himself, what he can do.
You just have to make sure that your car sweats and shakes like the anime protagonist.
That would be an amazing choice for live action. Yeah, and I'd say that Gunsmith Cats, the OVA that followed this later on, is not as fantastical. I guess in a lot of ways it's more realistic, but yeah, it would honestly, I see this on the horizon, and Josh will get to you, I promise. But
No, it's good.
When all of these we're already kind of tapping out on superhero movies. I have this scary sense that anime is the next horizon that Hollywood will want to consume.
Yeah.
And something like this would make a perfect adaptation, I think.
But I think it's like the unmentionable elements of it like are kind of like a fortress and moat, like maybe protecting it from Hollywood vultures or something.
Interesting take. Interesting. I like that.
What I hope happens is if Hollywood does come to sort of like subsume these wonderful bits of animation. Maybe in this case, Stallone himself can sue to keep it like out of being made.
That's amazing.
So yeah, Josh, what's your history with Riding Bean?
I'd never heard of this before. I've heard of Gunsmith Cats as like something that like, oh yeah, that probably doesn't appeal to me, so I never like watched it or anything. No, but Riding Bean was so much fun. It dares to ask, like, what if women could also be like sex offenders, which was a very bold take for 1991.
Women can do anything they want.
Yeah. A new frontier in third wave feminism.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the fourth wave.
New wave feminism. Yeah.
New wave. Yeah.
No, but like it's so much fun. A lot of like the sort of visual style of what was happening gave me sort of like Lupin the Third vibes because the acting is all very big. This movie's a lot more interested in cars and guns than any Lupin media is, but like it has a lot of that bigness to it, a lot of that cartooniness to it. Like I'm really thinking of that that scene where Bean's car tires go sideways and he drives that car up a tree and it like rinses that guy through the wheel well there.
Yeah.
It was like Herbie the love bug with more pedophilia or something.
Yeah, but then you really do get that that sort of grit of like somebody who's been watching like a lot of Hollywood films. So like, right at the top, you see sort of the edge to this. There's like that disemboweled CPD officer. Yeah. There's that other CPD officer whose head explodes, So like, it's sort of that ultra violence, that like excess that I think really sets it apart from something like a Lupin to something, really sort of bespoke there. But yeah, I love it. I won't get too weird about how much I loved Bean, but it was quite a bit.
It's Pride Month. You can get weird about it.
I think that may be the reason why I thought of you for this episode, Josh.
Okay, great. In that case,
we don't have our cameras on, but I'm guessing like surrounded by some kind of shrine.
I did Google Bean merch, like Riding Bean merch.
Awesome.
You can buy the
watch list.
You can buy the cell, okay, where that scene, inexplicable scene where he chews like a mouthful of like shelled walnuts.
Yes.
No way.
That cell exists, but it's like $6,000, and I'm like,
man.
And I'm like, that's a fair price, but I'll never have $6,000 to spend on this.
Yeah. When I think of stuff like that too, like I think I mentioned it when we did our Macross the Rumble episode.
Yeah.
Animation cells were just laying everywhere, like in the mid to late 90s at conventions. And it was like $20, $35, like $60 or $100 would be like, whoa, this is a big deal. And it's like one of these things where I think about, man, if I would have just taken the time to just buy a couple of these. Like as a kid, when I would go to the comic book store, every week you'd see like The Walking Dead #1 just sitting on the shelf because it was just there. And I was like, man, if I would have just spent $2, it probably would have been a good idea back then. But yeah. And I guess since I mentioned Macross Do You Remember Love, I guess this puts it right around the same time. And I think that one of the reasons that this does look so good is that this is like the Japanese bubble economy era. And Kenichi Sonoda himself mentioned that they were like, hey, we've got all the money in the world. Do you have an idea for something? We'll just make it. And this is what we ended up with Riding Bean. And yeah, you mentioned how on the surface it is about the cars and the guns and this Chicago location that this whole thing takes place in. And that's just, he liked it. He put everything he liked in this 40 minutes. And
But it's also really focused and grounded, at least compared to what I was expecting. And I know I'm probably walking into any anime at this point with this kind of bias, like, oh, is anyone going to be readable, like as a human being to me, or that kind of thing. And I don't know. I feel like it's a really punchy, again, like propulsive story, and it's such a confident thing. It knows exactly where it wants to go. And I love what you were saying too, Josh, like at least visually, where you get all this kind of like sort of more broad cartoony acting, and then like just really grounded draftsmanship for the machinery and the things, and also like it's like the eye of the camera is very divided too, because even like some of these moments of like just more like brazen titillation or whatever, there's one, it's like all of a sudden when it catches a glimpse of like the toaster oven, it's definitely like hornier for the toaster oven.
I had
then it's like, whoa.
I had a similar thought where it kind of felt like maybe like some investor was like, it's an OVA, we got to have some crazy blood, we got to have some tits. And he's like, okay, sure. So he did that. He's like, but I really want to talk about the Shelby Cobra a little more.
Yeah, I'm really into cars. It's like, nice boobs, but I'm really here for the for the automobile situation.
I think it's interesting to think of like the different types of Japanese like otaku. Kenichi Sonoda is a definite like gun otaku. As Westerners, as Americans, we hear that and it sounds messed up. But at the same time, if you think about it, like guns are non-existent in everyday life in Japan. And then you've got these people that have like these toy replicas, and they're just obsessed with the design and the thought behind them. And it turns it into, I don't want to say cute, but it's like, oh, there's like kind of a, like a wholesome appreciation for a gun that you couldn't even imagine would exist here, because it's
totally. It's like, I don't know, siblings playing in the backyard thing, like in the best
similar
way.
Yep. And with cars too, in this you see most prominently Bean Bandit's car, which is kind of like this made up supercar, which is great. I also love that. But besides that, you've got this kind of Percy, this cop that's pursuing him. Yeah, very Lupin style. Now that I think about it, you're right. And he's got like a Mustang, and it's like this whole big deal. Like, I finally got this car that I can use to take down Bean Bandit, because Bean Bandit can't be caught up to. And
his car's too good.
Yeah, his car's like this crazy. And I'm also thinking, I've never actually seen like a model kit of this. You would think there would be like a cool toy tied to this, but I've never actually seen that. The other thing I think about when I think of like anime from this era is like, well, they call them chibi style characters. I would always see like chibi artwork, this kind of squished, cute down style of like Riding Bean, and it's funny to think of that applied to what exists in this material here, which is pretty great. But yeah, I mean, I guess to talk about the production a little more, this is produced by a studio called Artmic, which was another one of these cases where when you think of all the people involved now, they've shot up to the stratosphere. Kenichi Sonoda being one of them. The other guy I think of is Shinji Aramaki, who designed, like, anytime there's a cool motorcycle that turns into a robot in an anime, he's probably the guy that designed it in a similar way to like
what an incredible job.
Oh, I know. And, yeah, and it sounds like a dream, honestly. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the toy line Mask from back in the day. It was kind of like it's like halfway between G.I. Joe and Transformers. So it was like G.I. Joe type characters, but they would have vehicles.
I only know it from hearing Gen X comedians referencing it.
Okay. Well, I was definitely a fan. Yep. And there were vehicles, so it would be like a 57 Chevy, but then it would have like, it could transform to have like 6 tires and guns coming out of it. And there would be like a motorcycle that would turn to a helicopter, these kind of transformable vehicles. That was it was like a B tier to your Transformers or G.I. Joe. I still thought it was cool, but Shinji Aramaki designed like all of those vehicles. And just in the same way that we talked about Shoji Kawamori designing like Optimus Prime. So it absolutely is a dream job to be able to do all this stuff and to live in that economy where they're like throwing money at you just to do something like what we end up with here with Riding Bean is so crazy and cool to me.
Jealous.
Yeah, I know, right?
I have a really important lore question. How come Bean like can't die? Like he's like how come?
Yeah, he's like a superhero.
Yeah, he can punch through cars and bullets can't hurt him.
He gets shot point blank in the head, and it just kind of really throws him off.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I couldn't tell if something with like his headband was supposed to mean something.
So it's this to me. This really plays like a pilot for a series. And I did read some places that they did have like a series plan, but for whatever reason, it didn't work. And then they just made this short OVA. But if you read into things, and so after Riding Bean came out, Kenichi Sonoda did like a manga. And then he also started Gunsmith Cats, which exists in the same world. And then Riding Bean shows up in that. And actually, one of the main characters from Gunsmith Cats is Raleigh Vincent, who is the blonde sidekick here.
Oh, wow.
But she looks completely different in Gunsmith Cats. And what I read when it comes to that is that this OVA was produced in participation with Toshiba EMI. And for whatever reason, they kind of held some type of rights to Riding Bean. So Kenichi Sonoda made Gunsmith Cats to kind of make his own thing using those same ideas. Okay. But in those materials, you'll read that like Bean's jacket is made of like this military grade, like, I don't know, it's like bulletproof, and his headband is like titanium line headband.
Gotcha.
That doesn't explain how he can just shoulder check a car coming straight.
Yeah, I was gonna say he also rips a car door off the door car.
But it is some kind of thing. It's like this extra little spice to it that you're like, whoa, you're like, you actually don't know what's gonna happen in an action sequence because he's in the mix. And that also, I would say the idea of his supercar, which they never mention the name. They say Roadbuster in it.
Yeah.
But the car is called Buff the Roadbuster. And the car is supposedly like a mix of different cars, like a Porsche chassis with like a Mustang engine, all this kind of nonsense. But that car is also this thing where it's like almost like a video game. What secret weapons does this car have?
Yeah.
And it's really fun to see stuff just show up in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, I think this OVA is just the right amount of length to keep you excited. And like you said, Marty, I think that the pacing's really strong, and the plot is just, I guess, just layered enough to keep you wondering about what's going to happen.
Right.
But all of that combined together to make this thing that's like, I guess, similar to like Project A-ko, which we talked about. And I guess, yeah, actually Project A-ko having kind of a more Western soundtrack, just like this has.
Right.
This kind of a weird kind of, I don't know, magical appeal to something like this. And yeah, I'm surprised, but maybe it's like I said, the idea that Toshiba held some rights to Writing Bean. I'm surprised there wasn't more, because I mean, we all saw it and we were like hooked.
Yeah.
Even considering like some of the weird stuff. But the other thing with Gunsmith Cats is that it was kind of a longer running manga, kind of, and Kenichi Sonoda's art, some of the cleanest lines in manga that I've ever seen. Like everything looks super tight, and his zipatone use is really nice. And yeah, just that appreciation for guns and cars is showcased even more so in his like artwork. The OVA though is only really 3 episodes. That there was nothing beyond that. And I think, you know, everybody loves Cowboy Bebop, and I'm not disparaging Cowboy Bebop at all, but I think they both have similar stylized intros, and I personally much prefer the stylized visuals of the Gunsmith Cats intro to the Cowboy Bebop intro. But like I said, I'm not picking a side. And it's weird to me that Cowboy Bebop, I mean, is a longer running series and has a movie and stuff. But Gunsmith Cats has kind of fallen away. But it did come out here on VHS. You can find it. And for a long time, even with Writing Bean, you could just watch this whole OVA on YouTube. And just recently, Animego, the same company that had originally brought it out in the early 90s, they did like a Kickstarter for Blu-ray. And that's the rip that I shared with you guys today. And it looks amazing, and there's extra features. It was like a crazy successful. Yeah, the Kickstarter was very successful, and they were able to record a new commentary track with Kenichi Sonoda, which is really crazy. And he did some special artwork. There's some new like image art for the release, and I think he even did like personal cards, like if you are a high tier.
Oh man!
Yeah, you could get like a drawing from Kenichi Sonoda.
Why didn't you guys do this episode 7 years ago?
And then the other thing too that I think is really interesting is that Kenichi Sonoda has retired from the industry, so that's kind of another cool thing that they got him back.
Doesn't he run like a candy shop now or something?
He runs like his family-owned candy shop, and
Wow.
I think the appeal to anybody that might have been interested in his work is that the packaging is designed by him, and he does like character art for the candies, which is pretty crazy.
I want to go to Sonoda's candy shop.
Dude,
Yeah.
field trip. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, it's like in southern Japan. I think it's on the southernmost big island. So yeah, could be pretty nice.
I'm
summer
getting my
vacation.
ass on the train. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, so we can talk about the OVA itself a little bit.
yeah, we don't have to go through every beat, and
Yeah.
it's pretty smooth. But we can just basically talk about what happens here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the initial scene is kind of wild because like it. Whenever you haven't seen anything of it, you're kind of like, is Writing Bean like a bad guy? Because like these people, it kind of downplays it as the special goes on, but like there are 2 robbers here completely murder like 3 people.
Oh yeah.
like violently.
I was a bit worried. I always think about when I suggested we do Fist of the North Star, and then Marty's reaction of being almost traumatized by the violence in that. I almost sent Marty a text like, "Hey, just a heads up, right at the beginning, there's some messed up stuff."
Oh no, that's sweet.
And I was very scared because they take this one woman hostage who's completely naked besides her shoes, and then that does it for someone. And then whenever they like throw her back and get in their car, then the guy points the gun, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't this kind of special, is it? But then he hits the wall next to her. I was like, okay, all right, there.
And we're saying he, but
yeah, that's right.
I think
Yeah,
one of the most memorable hooks of the thing is this like pre-De Palma Cruise Mission Impossible mask on a mask on a mask thing.
Oh yeah.
Which is also like extremely, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of electric how that animation plays, but yeah, it's like to what we were saying earlier. It's like the most abuse towards women comes from kind of like our arch femme here. Like,
yeah, Semmer.
in the guise of something. Yeah. Wait, it's Semmer, right? Or I keep
Semmer
or Semmerling. Yeah, and actually I think that name is like either the name of a type of gun or a company that makes guns. So it's completely in the DNA of every character.
Okay,
and
that explains that, because I'm like, this sounds really specific, but I don't get the reference.
Yeah. There are license plates in this that are references to Blues Brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's
Dude, amazing.
and we mentioned Stallone, and Bean is very inspired by both Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger of this era.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Bean's kind of like, he's like the driver in a situation. You know, he's a hired driver, so
like a getaway man.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of contention between the robbers. They're in a desperate way, and his choices, but in the end, they're successful and they part ways. And that's when you see that, you know, people aren't who they seem. And but upon a rewatch, you're seeing kind of like very intended.
Yeah, it's really ingenious, actually.
Yeah,
like,
placement of the characters and the situation. Soon after that, you're more regularly introduced to Bean and his relationship with Raleigh Vincent. They're basically kind of like a bounty hunter duo, and they are approached by a man that has a young girl, and they get sucked into this kind of caper. And I think, you know, the biggest mistake that these criminals ended up having was wrapping up Bean and Raleigh in this situation.
Yeah.
Because they could have really gone with anyone, but I guess maybe the reputation of these two made them think that it would work to their benefit.
I think their biggest miscalculation was that Bean is Superman and is immune to bullets.
Yeah.
How about him just straight up biting a pineapple? He just eats a pineapple for breakfast. Like,
I was about to talk about
the taser to the frying pan. Someone needs to get into.
Yeah, the whole like domestic scenes, because you have this like montage of like Raleigh getting dressed, and it's like for people who enjoy seeing women's underwear. There's a lot to enjoy there. And then, like, for the true freaks, you have these scenes of Bean being exceptionally prone on a couch. And I really enjoyed all of these sort of like domestic moments. Yeah, like Raleigh's first idea is to just tase him awake, which, he doesn't work. So she puts the hot frying pan directly onto like his eye socket, which works just fine.
Which that leads more credence to the Bean is actually like a superhero and like genuinely just doesn't experience pain the same way that we do.
Her defense is like, you didn't wake up from the tase. It's like, and that actually is a good little gag, because he kind of like stammers a little bit and then conks back out again. That was
but yeah, I do enjoy, because they're having a talk about how like $45,000 isn't enough to pay their expenses in 1991 Chicago, and I really think that it is, having lived in Chicago. I think it's going to be okay. But yeah, no, the pineapple's great, where he just like lops it in half, and I was watching it with my boyfriend, and he's like, I think he's eating the pineapple with the rind on it, and I'm like, yeah, I think he's also eating it with like the core on it.
I like
drinking the coffee directly from the pot.
Yeah.
It's like his chewing justifies the like chin and jaw backstory, right. But it doesn't it doesn't explain itself. I don't get, especially the walnut thing later. It's like mesmerizing, and I also don't know what it means as far, like, it's definitely some kind of like intimidation gesture, but
it's a huge flex. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Like I
Getting
guess.
this healthy fat somehow. So.
Yep. So yeah, there's this kind of situation where there's I don't know if they're just a rich family or influential family, the Grimwood family, and the father and the daughter. Oh, well, the father's been kidnapped and the daughter's being held ransom, blah blah blah. All of this stuff just to say that these people that are asking Bean for help are also the same kind of criminals that we saw on Mask earlier. And there's a really exciting sequence here where just as they're agreeing to do this, they are assailed by a million bullets. There's like a bunch of dudes with Uzis across the way, and they blast through the wall. And yeah, Bean just kind of sits in place. The most defensive thing he does is pop his collar up.
Yeah, he pops his collar up a little bit.
And then the bullets are all just sitting on his jacket, which is an awesome visual in the midst of all of this rubble. And you also just see the man asking for help get totally like
shredded
by bullets. And I also love this because it's a play and they agree and they escape their apartment with the young girl thinking that this person's dead, but then that person stands up, and I've never seen this animated. They had squibs.
Yeah, he pulls like the string on, or she, I guess, pulls the squibs on the other side, and they all pop, and they make like a big reaction to it. It's
super fun,
very cool,
and pretty
so
inventive.
Many, like, well observed little gags like that, and also just the animation of what you thought were like was genuine gunfire, but the squibs going off earlier. It's just don't know what the references for that might have been, but yeah, it's stunning.
I was just about that scene. I was willing to let the taser and the frying pan go, but the taking like 17 bullets to the like left side of his body is where I was like, I have to ask Carlos about this.
I honestly think it's just that he's got a really nice jacket.
Sometimes you got a jacket that's so cool that the bullets are like, nah, I'm not going through that.
It's like
cool
when you need to be a bounty hunter, but you also want to be stylish. You have to find that jacket.
So the next scene is where we find out that this is Semmer, and her partner in crime is this girl, Carrie, who is vaguely a child. Like, they don't really dive into it, which is probably for the best, but she's probably like a teenager or something. And she like immediately, whenever Semmer comes back, she starts beating her up. It's real rough.
Well, this is after she was trying to like force something with the kidnapped dad.
Yeah, with the dad,
like
which is real
weird.
messed up.
And he rejects her, but then Semmer is pretty vile in how you see this as a very abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of playing all these sides. They're trying to extort money out of the kidnapping of the father, but then they're also trying to set this up with Bean and the daughter, trying to kind of get this reward. They're almost successful, but it's too bad
that Bean is involved in any way. And that leads to another super cool sequence is whenever they go to this rich people's like house and get completely surrounded by the guards, and the guard makes the real mistake of dissing his car.
Yeah, that's what sets him off. Not all the other stuff.
None of the other stuff's fine.
Yep.
And that's whenever he like goes sideways and runs the guy up against a tree.
Yeah, and I love what Marty mentioned earlier about kind of almost the squash and stretch of the car. The car isn't alive, but it feels very alive in how it moves, rocking left and right, and the idea that all four tires can turn. And he's got, like, if you notice, he's got a steering wheel, and then he's got a little inside steering wheel, and that's what he uses for the other set.
Yeah, it does feel like the car will make like these like anime grunts and
yeah, almost like the Fuchikomas or the Tachikomas in Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah,
this kind of cute personality.
Also, all these thugs with the machine guns. There's this one shot where like the parallax is just like gorgeous. Yeah, just overall, it's like just the like draftsmanship bar like never sinks in this thing. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, because like I mean, just so much of like standard contemporary like animation production, especially for like these really complicated automobiles, like there's more than one. So when they're getting away, which is like I guess sort of right after this, where they're getting away with in the giant semi truck, there's so many scenes where you're like down on the truck and the truck is doing something where it's like twisting all the way around, which would be quite complicated to pose out in perspective. So a lot of contemporary shows would do a 3D model that is cell shaded, that so it looks 2D, which is totally fine because it's extremely complicated to do a shot like that. But being in what is this 88, they didn't have that luxury, so they just had to make the most beautiful drawings of all time instead.
Yeah.
God,
Right.
Shame.
I love that too. Earlier on the getaway, when Bean was taking these bank robbers, they get caught in like a roadblock where there's a semi, and they're at a loss. They actually can't find Summer, and they don't know what to do next. And they make a stop at a gas station, and just by chance he sees that same truck, and he realizes the idea here. So then that starts that chase. And to me, I love the bit with the grenades. For some reason, this driver's choice in weapons is throwing grenades, and I love him for that. And there's a really great moment where it's almost like like a Jackie Chan style action moment where you just see a grenade pop into frame, and Bean is smart enough to just grab it and throw it behind him. But then they play your expectations up a little further, and he just tosses like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
And the other really smart move is just to hit the brakes, and they all just explode in front of the car. And that's just executed perfectly. It looks so tasty.
It was a powerful lack of gay and lesbian solidarity in this movie when she killed the poor driver of the semi. I thought that guy was hot too. And she's like, "Hey, can you look over there so I can ice you off camera real quick?" And I was like, "How are you gonna do me like this?"
The other thing too is that we mentioned that Percy earlier, and he just pops in every now and then in his pursuit of
Percy
Bean.
beat with Bean when he rolls up and like the camera just freezes, and then oh my god, I was doubled over. That was great.
That interaction's so fun too, because it's like they're old friends but they're rivals at the same time.
Yeah.
He's like, hey,
He's
how's it
extremely
going?
Lupin. Now that you said Lupin, I can't get it out of my head.
It's perfect. And
Yeah, like Zenigata, he's even got his own like emotional support twink to help him.
Totally.
Yeah, that's really
I
good.
also love whenever Percy eats an entire hamburger in 2 bites.
That was so good.
Really fun.
Which, just all of the, like, I'm a big fan of America stuff, so I'm going to throw it into here.
Could have been a Chicago
yeah.
dog, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because doesn't he pound like a 2 liter of Coke or something? Like
He does. He just has it with him.
I'm like, that is
at the table.
Americans are always doing this. So
I love that Bean at the rest stop gas station, like his order, there's like these roller skate girl, like a kind of a diner kind of thing, and he orders something like some burgers and like a case of
20
Budweiser.
spare ribs and a case of Bud. I wrote it down.
Yes.
I love that idea that this is like a Japanese person like that. This is humorous, but this is what somebody would order. And it's just like one step off. I also love in that Kenichi
I'm
Sonoda,
bound by truth, guys. I gotta do it. Yeah.
I shared some of the screen grabs from the commentary, and their door for their apartment has like 8 locks on it. And Kenichi Sonoda's like, I think it's a very American thing to have like this many locks. That was really funny.
That was funny. I just chalked it up to, they deal with a lot of criminals and stuff, so you gotta be safe. But
yeah,
I like the idea that they're just like, oh yeah, everyone's shooting at each other all the time in America. They gotta have like 6 locks.
100%.
Absolutely. this truck chase turns into a car chase. They ditch the semi and they have like, I don't know, I think it's like a BMW. And that makes for some really great downtown Chicago driving.
Yeah.
And
they drive like under the L and stuff.
yeah, that sequence under the L is super cool, and that's something anybody would recognize from Chicago. And then it ends in like a parking structure, and it's kind of like this multi-tiered standoff where you got Rally and the Grimwood daughter. She's being held by just like some goon that's just conveniently there. And
the goon kind of came out of nowhere.
I think he was just like preloaded into the car. So when they escaped, they had to bring the goon along.
Yeah. And then you've got Summer facing off against Riding Bean. And I love... Yeah, Riding Bean turns into a monster, and Summer understands this. She's like, "Oh my god, I can't fight this guy."
Looks like a One Piece character with this huge smile, holding the knife.
I mean, that part was so great because like just before he goes like sicko mode on her car. She's like, "Don't worry, Bean. I did so much research into you." And I just think the first thing you would learn about it is that he's like immune to bullets and pain. Like, I think that would be the first thing you would learn.
Or you use context cues. You know, it's like, I tase you, and you kind of ignore me.
Yep. But there's some really great action beats here. Like I mentioned earlier, she's got this kind of little car that she hotwires, and she tries to slam it right into him, but he actually like shoulder checks it, and it's like it's cool. It's like framed like this really cool, like almost like a Shonen Jump style heroic moment for him, where you're like, I can't believe he's doing like Superman, I guess. But then he like rips the door off with his bare hands. I love him throwing his knife, and it's like, I don't know, like a pile driver in the car door behind her. Like
that was
really
so
cool.
fucking cool. Yeah.
And then it kind of capitalizes in this moment where Carrie, the young girl, is kind of appealing to Summer, you know, and she says like, "We'll just give you all the money." Like she realizes how dangerous it is, and Summer kind of checks her like, "What are you doing?" And there's like the old timey action trope of the gasoline pouring from the car, and she decides to shoot at Carrie through Carrie to Bean, but that ignites the car and it explodes. I think that's framed really well. I would love to see the storyboards for this. I'm sure that there's like with that Kickstarter, there was also like huge like special edition. I just have like the regular Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
But
I wonder if anybody's reselling that.
And have you ever looked at the manga, Carlos?
Yeah, I did actually. After Gunsmith Cats came out, I think it was Viz that was releasing the English version of the manga here, and then I went back years later just to like online. I looked at like the Riding Bean stuff, and it's all really cool. I didn't revisit it for the podcast, but like I said, all of Kenichi Sonoda's work, it's like super clean, like layouts, lines, everything's like super clean and tight, and he produced pretty regularly. He didn't start out in manga. He started out here in animation, and then just shortly after this he pivoted towards manga, which I'm thankful for. There you do see some questionable stuff in his work. So it is like I said, I think a lot of what you see in Riding Bean,
hopefully he's not hiding out in the candy business.
Right.
Yeah, everything you see here is stuff that he showed interest in. So I will leave it at that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the OVA. Summer is killed, and Grimwood and his daughter are safe, and they decide to give them the money, and they drive out the back of the parking structure, basically. And it fades to white, and pretty sick, pretty cool stuff.
And this like slow jam plays over the credits.
It kind of killed me a little bit.
Yeah, we should talk about the music.
I think it is a thing that it's also in reflection of what maybe Kenichi Sonoda would think. I mentioned Blues Brothers and stuff like that. So I think that he thought this would probably be fitting for the tone
you could
of
picture
something
this in
from
the
this
credits
era.
of Beverly Hills Cop or something.
Yeah, definitely of an older era. I could see how some people would bounce off of it. But I kind of was into it, and they were able to. I don't remember how it was. Maybe Toshiba was part of that too, where they contacted some studio musicians. I think based out of LA.
David Garfield, I think, is the main.
Yeah, and he had a
songwriter,
group.
composer.
Oh, I have the note. It's a group called Charisma, Karizma. And I think a lot of those same studio musicians work together with this. And if you look up studio musicians, you'll see holy crap, they worked on so much stuff that that everyone knows, but you don't know their names. I'm sure Marty can.
Well, it is that funny thing
that.
where it's watching it now, and I suppose just from the kind of more distant Western lens, and with the things that we're into, where it's just hard to not feel but actually the J Fusion bands tend to do this kind of thing even better. And so it's, but I mean, I appreciate I think the goal of it, but
I like them going for it.
interesting.
Yeah, I definitely do. And actually, it's funny. Just for kicks last night, and I shared it with you guys. I was like, I know there are Riding Bean AMVs, right? This is the era of AMVs.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah, there's a couple of great ones that I shared with you guys. And I mean, if you see just footage of Riding Bean with his sunglasses on, riding a red sports car, of course that's going to lean now, people's taste is synthwave stuff. So you can definitely find some people putting clips of Riding Bean to synthwave music. Yeah, I think it's a cool kind of time capsule. So I'm okay with the music. But yeah,
no, I like the music. It's just very funny because at the end it's very ride off into the sunset, and then it goes to
it's very it reminded me of what is it, The Bodyguard with the big Whitney Houston needle drop in it. It's very, I mean, it's very of its time. So I definitely can't say it doesn't fit. It was just kind of sending me a little bit.
Yeah. Man, this was great though, Josh. I am so glad we were able to share this specifically with
for
you.
sure.
Yeah. My last thing that I can't leave here without talking about is I'm beyond tickled that this is in Chicago. I just feel like most Japanese citizens never think about Chicago. It's just so much fun. It was a trip to hear them talk about Dearborn and LaSalle, to hear them mention streets that I've been on.
Yeah.
I see that in the Gunsmith Cats AMV. Or OVA, excuse me. Jesus. In the Gunsmith Cats OVA, they go to Michigan, which made me insane. I'm like I've never heard Japan mention Michigan before.
Nice.
I just love that our guy Sonoda here is a Midwest king.
And just the amount of research they did from across the world to try to make it as authentic as they thought they could is really, really fun.
Yeah, because tonally this reminds me a lot of, I don't know how much Banana Fish you guys have seen, but it's sort of a same. I mean, I guess Banana Fish is a little darker, I suppose, but it's the same similar vibe there. But that's if anime was in the Warriors style New York, it's cartoon New York.
Oh, cool.
And so it was fun to see them do as real of Chicago as heightened animation can give you. It was amusing.
Yep.
All right, any other final thoughts for Riding Bean?
I think that's all I got.
My letterbox review was don't say Riding Bean, or don't say God I wish I was Riding Bean, don't say God I wish I was Riding Bean, don't say God I wish I was Riding Bean, God I wish I was Riding Bean.
Oh, Oh man, is that "Don't Pour Salt in Your Eyes" from Kids in the Hall? Because that's what I always think of.
Yeah, I think like I was referencing because this is how old I am. Was that like a long old Family Guy bit where he's in like a
don't
job
say "do" and your
interview?
wife.
Yeah.
Nice, that's so good.
The one dumb connection that I found was the voice actor for Bean in Japanese is Hideyuki Tanaka, and he's done a billion other things, but he voices Captain Falcon in that Captain Falcon anime film that people did all the memes of, where he does the Falcon punch. That's the same guy.
Oh, since you mentioned that, Kei Tomiyama, who voiced Percy, he was very over the top. He is the Japanese voice of Bugs Bunny.
Oh, cool!
Oh my gosh, dude.
That rules.
Yeah, and we didn't actually mention.
Dude, you could throw a carrot into like any one of his.
Oh
setups.
yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he could be in drag in any of these sequences.
Yeah. And also Carrie, the young girl, is voiced by Megumi Hayashibara, who is like one of the most legendary voice actors. She's Rei Ayanami in Evangelion. She's female Ranma in Ranma 1/2. I know she's like some Pokemon because I think there's a bunch of Pokemon, but Lena Inverse and Slayers, and she also would like do a lot of songs for shows too. So she's like kind of a god tier voice actor.
She's Jessie, or Musashi, the Japanese name for Jessie.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yep. Nice.
All right. Josh, you are our guest. What do you have anything to plug before we do our stuff?
Yeah, if you, I don't know, if you like movies about hot guys, sometimes we talk about those on our podcast, myself, Craig Neeson, and Jennifer Hawking, who have all been on Heroes 3 as well. We have a show called Swim Fans. We talk genre film, which is primarily erotic thrillers, but sometimes other stuff. If you wanna check that out, you can find that wherever you get your fine podcast. On social media, Swim Fans Pod. And I am on all the spots. Amons, AMONNS.
Ooh, you know what I love is when you guys tell us what you've been watching. Can I pull that from you right now?
Yes, you can. But it's I'm going to be saying the same thing on Swim Fans. But I saw the Until Dawn movie. Did you guys like the game?
I loved the game actually, way more than I thought I would.
Remember, I watched through like a Let's Play of it way back when it first came out, so I kind of got the gist of it. But
yeah, I'm like Carlos. I adored the game. Like I was a huge fan of it. The movie's so fucking bad, you guys.
That's so sad.
I mean, there are parts. There's like maybe 3 things that I think are cool. Like one of the. So I think it had good bones. Maybe like in the outline stage. So really early on,
Sure.
because they didn't set it in anything to do with like the game, so it's all original, it's all completely different. And I'm like, that's probably smart. And then that's kind of the last time there's anything good about it.
No.
It's some of the worst time looping I've ever seen.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's and there are just like the rules of the time loop just like change or are dropped intermittently. It's rough.
Can I ask So the time loop, I guess. So in the game, you're making choices, and those choices affect how the game progresses. And it's this slasher idea: who lives, who dies, and you develop your favorites, and either you're sad if they die or whatever. Is the time loop trying to mimic choices in the movie? I guess. I mean, I don't know. All right.
It's like as like non-spoilery as possible. It's like the characters are stuck in a time loop until they like become creatures. So like if you've played Until Dawn, you're familiar with like the Wendigo.
Yeah.
So like they're basically stuck looping until they like morph into other Wendigos.
Dang. Okay. Well, that's too bad because I thought the game was cool.
Yeah, yeah. And it is a shame because like one of the lead actresses is the woman who played the main character in the new Hellraiser movie, the one that was actually quite good, the 2022 Hellraiser movie, and they completely waste her in it. So,
Damn.
so that's what I've been watching.
Gotcha. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on Swim Fans.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a round of this. Matthew, where can people find you?
Oh yeah, well for doing this, yeah. I'm at Major Third on Blue Sky, and I have a YouTube channel. I watched a bunch of random movies this weekend, a lot of backlog stuff. I watched The Third Man, the Carol Reed movie from
Hell
49,
yeah.
something like that.
Nice.
Hell fucking yeah.
Dude, nice.
It is very good. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to be bad, but it was very good. And I love how the Citizen Kane guy. Well, I can't remember his fucking name.
Orson Welles.
yeah.
Orson Welles. There's the one.
You mean Unicron from Transformers?
Oh yeah, Unicron from Transformers. No, I love how
You mean a certain wine merchant?
I love how Orson Welles is only in like a very small amount of the movie, but he completely jumps out of the screen and is so good.
Nice.
And is kind of insane in it. It's a very good movie.
Cool.
And it's beautiful seeing that, like, you know, post-war Vienna.
Yeah. Okay, Marty, I'm excited to throw it to you.
Oh man. Yeah, not too much odds and ends projects that are in various stages of being finished. And yeah, on a little bit of like a Hitchcock binge again. I think I mentioned to a couple of us, there's this great theater near us that did a 70 millimeter screening of North by Northwest last
That's so
week.
cool.
Yeah, that sounds
And this
awesome.
is like a theater that has like a functioning like Wurlitzer organ at the front that like
That rules.
descends into the pit in front of
I love that.
the screen and everything. So it was like made you feel like glad to be alive and stuff. And then I was going back to like Strangers on a Train and Suspicion and
You see Rope yet?
yeah, some of this. Oh, I love Rope.
Yeah,
So good.
Rope hits.
Yeah. So just like circling those old chestnut things.
That you smash in your mouth.
Yeah, so it's like you shoot them all.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Dude, I've never been so insecure about my chin.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, Carlos, where can people find you?
Yeah, I guess you can find me on social media as KF_Carlito in some places. Yeah, I actually went with Alberto to see Karate Kid Legends just the other day. Yeah.
How is that?
Oh,
And
nice.
I liked it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It's really safe. It kind of almost does like it kind of starts off like almost like a Force Awakens, where it's like, all right, you saw the original and we're just kind of play these same beats. Of course, from Heroes 3 side, I'm interested in the action, and the action is good. Everything, like the performers are great. I think the editing is pretty rough. There's a lot of shaking around.
Gotcha.
But seeing Jackie in this movie in an older role, he looking old, but he still has a little bit of the Jackie magic, and it's kind of cool to see that on the big screen in the West. So yeah, it was aight. Could have been worse. My expectations were low.
Yeah, I would think
Okay,
like
no, that's
as long
good
as
to
the
move, yeah.
as long as the action is good, I feel like it might be worth a little something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently the main boy is like from Minnesota, so there's been like that kind of like
Oh,
local
nice.
news,
Oh.
hometown hero.
Very cool. He's very cool. I liked him a lot, and he looks really good on camera fighting. And yeah, I hope that we see more of that.
Cool.
More Midwest excellence. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for checking out our show. If you enjoyed it, then you can check us out on all of the social medias. We are at Heroes 3 Podcasts on all of them. if you have a random late night watching anime or getting a VHS tape experience that you would like to share, then please send us an email at heroes3podcast@gmail.com. So, with all that, we just finished our other arc. This is our little interlude. So, Carlos, I'm very excited to hear what you have for us for next week. So, what is our training?
Yeah, I think what we're gonna do is I basically have like a selection of, I guess, blockbuster tropes. And I'm gonna pick the first one, but I think after that, I'm gonna leave it to you, Matthew and Marty, to choose out of a list what we do next. And I think we're gonna start with a giant monster movie. Shocker. And we will be discussing The Mighty Peking Man.
Hell yeah.
Oh, dude, yes.
Yes.
This has been a long time coming.
This has been a very long time coming. And I think that with us doing Godzilla and stuff like that, now we are ready to complete actually a trilogy of films that we've discussed 2 of, and now this is the final. So this is the Danny Lee trilogy of weird Shaw Brothers movies.
Awesome. So this is a great opportunity for me to revisit Oily Maniac and Super Inframan because I love those movies.
Very excited to take us into this summer of Hollywood blockbusters.
Cool. Well, until next week, where we're taking a look at Mighty Peking Man, I'm Matthew.
I'm Marty.
I'm Carlos.
You do it again, Josh.
Let's hear it, Josh.
Oh, okay. And I'm still Josh.
You are still Josh.
And we are the Heroes 3. Remember your training.
Heroes 3 is part of the Mercado Brothers Podcast Network.